How's it going, everybody? This is a video I wasn't expecting to make today, mainly because I had to cut down 20 days worth of editing into 2 days, so apologies if this feels a lot less edited than before, but I just really need to talk about this Punisher buff that just released in December, because this might be one of the best buffs we've ever gotten. Not because it's stellar or anything. In my opinion, it's kind of just okay, like slightly above average for offense. For defense, it looks like he's going to be pretty solid. But for what this means for the trophy champions in the future, I'm really excited to see what happens. So to my knowledge, this is the first ever trophy champion buff we've ever received. We've received a couple like Weapon X or Dark Phoenix before, but those weren't playable characters when they got buffed before. So I consider those new releases as opposed to a straight up trophy champion buff. And because of this, I think that opens the possibilities for characters like Red Deadpool, Kang, or Thanos to receive a buff, and I am super excited because I think those are some of the most neglected characters in this game of all time. So, without further ado, let me talk about the brand new Punisher buff. There's going to be a matchup showcase mainly, so I'm just going to go over the abilities real quick here. Punisher doesn't have time to... Wait, MSID UI stat format Punisher AA1. Okay, kabam. Okay, it was a visual thing on my end. Back to the video. Punisher doesn't have time to bleed, which means that he has 40% bleed resistance and wither immunity. The wither immunity is actually pretty helpful for his loop, but for the bleed immunity, it's not really that potent enough to actually see a difference. For fights like Bullseye, you're still taking a bunch of damage, so just ignore it. And then there's two more bits of utility to go over. One being an endurance for every 20% health either champion has lost, up to 4, which means you can get 80% endurance, which is fine, but also you have to have the opponent at like 20% HP to get that max endurance offensively, so it's more or less a defensive thing. And then he also gets a grit whenever punishing a special attack, intercepting an opponent, or whenever he's cornered. This grit is short enough in duration to where you can punish characters that get unstoppable on special attacks like Rhino, but it's not long enough to maintain for a long duration of unstoppable, in my opinion. You'll learn pretty early on that this guy was basically made to counter Rhino, because you know how Rhino reduces ability accuracy of bleeds? Well, he reduces the reduction of ability accuracy of bleeds, which in my opinion is a terrible tongue twister, but whatever, that's what we're rolling with here. As you can see, this guy doesn't really have much going on in the utility department. He has some stuff that allows him to counter very specific matchups, but nothing really universal. But that's not really the main thing with Punisher. The main thing is his ability to counter villain characters and also his defender gimmicks. So now let's talk about those abilities. Punisher is a very straightforward character to follow now. Whenever you crit the opponent, they bleed. Caveman shit. So here are some ways to increase his critical rating. Whenever you throw a special attack into block, if you have an impact passive, the gunshots are guaranteed critical hits. The way to get the impact is stupidly easy against villains, and against heroes it's a little bit more challenging, but this guy's really a villain hunter, that's what I said. And against villain characters, you just start with 1. So basically, you don't even need to worry about anything else. You just hit the opponent into block, and then they bleed, and then they die. Very straightforward stuff. But against heroes, that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. You want to build physical resistances by either doing a first light or a third light, up to 20. Every time you throw a special attack not into block, you will get an impact passive. It lasts not as long, so you'll also have to do heavy attacks to refresh those impact passives. But basically, it's just an extra step. You just throw a special 1 before doing the special 2 loop and all that. The special 2 and the special 1 have added bonuses for whenever you throw them through block, so I'll go through those real quick. For the special 2, throwing through block gives you power for each gunshot, up to a special 1. It's also why he's wither immune, just to allow that power to actually gain. But for characters that inflict petrify, like Jessica Jones, just be careful, it will reduce the power. And then also he gets an unstoppable, which allows him to just be unstoppable. I don't know why I explained that. For the special 1, if you hit into block while unstoppable, you have to be unstoppable for this to happen. You get these bonuses. Increase the tick rate of the bleeds by 300%, basically meaning your bleeds do more damage. And also you get a precision passive. It's a relatively mediocre precision, but gives you more bleeds. So it's pretty good in my opinion. And that's all you need to know about Punisher offensively. Very simple. You throw the special 2 through block if you have the impact up, you get enough power, you throw a special 1 immediately through the block, and then the bleeds just kill the opponent. It's super fun in my opinion, and I'll go over it with all the matchups in a bit, but let's talk about the defender abilities now, because that is the biggest thing that this guy has going for him, in my opinion. I already went through most of the abilities that Punisher has defensively, being the tankiness with the physical resistance and also the endurance with the health loss and stuff like that. but there is one big thing that he has, which is indestructible per intervals of 33% health lost, which means it'll trigger 3 times per fight. And there is one big way to go around this, but this is one thing that makes him incredibly tanky. For characters like Onslaught and stuff like that, he goes from like a 40-second fight to like a 70-second fight. It's a lot of indestructible in my opinion. The indestructible remains paused unless you're actively attacking him, he's blocking an attack, or he's actively attacking you. So that is something to keep in mind. But there is one big way to counter this indestructible. Whenever a non-villain mutant throws a special attack during the interval in which the indestructible would trigger, instead goes delayed. And it won't trigger until after the special attack, or after the entirety of special attacks. So if like you throw a special attack immediately after the first one, it will still remain delayed. So just make sure to use characters like Deadpool X-Force or just any hero mutant that has big burst damage, like Cyclops as well is a pretty good option. I'll go over it more when I like actually go over the matchups and stuff like that, because I'll show a bunch of Defender stuff with him as well. But basically that's Punisher for you. Very annoying Defender, very fun loop, pretty simplistic to use, not gonna smash any records, so I'm very happy with this buff overall. So yeah, let's go into the... So, because I'm a little bit new to matchups and stuff like that, I'm going to go over his most known matchups and work my way down towards a little bit more niche stuff. And then eventually, because this guy's a Defender, I'm going to show off every little thing about the Defender and what you need to know when fighting him in a setting like Battlegrounds or War. Mainly Battlegrounds, though. So you probably could have guessed this already, but the first matchup I am going to show now is Rhino, because this is exactly what he was made to counter. So I'll try my best to explain how this fight goes as it goes, but basically why Punisher works here is, although Rhino reduces ability accuracy of bleeds, Punisher cannot reduce his ability accuracy against science characters. So even though in a normal matchup the bleeds wouldn't be triggering, for Punisher it does. Then as you can see right here, because I punished the special attack, I got that grid up and I was able to attack Rhino while he was unstoppable, actually triggering his cooldown as well. But basically the loop here, since I have the impact because Rhino is a villain, is to throw a special 2. Threw it a little bit later than I should have with the power gain from the special 2, but after the special 1, the bleed tick rate is increased and Rhino is dead. Well, not dead, but you know what I mean. He's basically dead. So in a normal Battleground settings, that's 40 seconds flat, which is a really good fight. So I think it's pretty obvious to say that Rhino is an S tier matchup for Punisher. This is exactly what he was made to do, and when Rhino eventually releases as a 7-star, I guarantee that a lot of people are going to be using him. Punisher is going to be a great option to dealing with him. So now I want to show off the most noteworthy science hero and show why Punisher is just not as good against heroes, but still pretty solid. And that is, of course, Spider-Woman. So basically what changes in this fight as compared to Rhino is, as you can see, I do not start with the impact passive. So what I have to do instead of going straight to the special 2 is throw the special 1 in order to get those impact passives. Because it is tied to the physical resistance, I am going to get more impacts as opposed to if I were to fight a villain character, but it's not really that important in my opinion. It's just a little bit bonus block damage through. But yeah, throw the special 1 here, you get 7 impacts, mainly. You can get to 10, but now because I have that, I want to go straight to the special 2. And as you can see, I have the endurance up as well. So when the fumble triggers, it is going to be a little bit less duration, but honestly, it's not the best in my opinion. But you throw the special 2 here, and it's about the same thing. Bunch of block damage, throw the special 1 in the block, and Jessica Drew is just going to die here because Punisher has a lot of bleed damage. So you can probably tell, but against heroes, Punisher has a little bit more work that he has to do in order to get stuff done. Special 1 throwing a lot more heavy attacks because the impact duration gets doubled against villains. So for that, I'm going to say that Spider-Woman is a solid B tier matchup. Again, when he works, he does pretty solid, but also because he doesn't really counter Spider-Woman's abilities, there is stuff that can go wrong, like you can get the fumble on you, she throws the special 1, and at that point, it's just over. Now, I would say that Punisher is very linear in terms of his matchup variability. In terms of meta defenders, he only really counters science characters in my opinion, and not even one of the top 3 in the terms of Photon because she's bleed immune. Again, if they're bleed immune, Punisher does nothing. But let's talk about M.O.D.O.K now, because he is the last defender that I see sometimes in Battlegrounds decks. There's only really 2 challenges that Punisher faces during this matchup. One being that you have to actually disable the shield when it goes back up, because if he ends up hitting that auto block, if he's duped, you know, obviously he's going to be duped, you end up getting stunned, so he doesn't really have any way to counter that. And also, the way that the power gain works with him, he fluctuates and causes a bit of it to negate. So basically, you want to have a little bit more power when throwing that special 2. And when you do that, eventually you will end up just going special 2, special 1 in the block, and he should be dead. But as you can see, there's a couple things that happened right there, so let me pause real quick. So you saw how the opponent dashed in at the end of the special 2? That's not supposed to happen most of the time. It's supposed to be acting like an intimidate, where if you throw it through block, they should just sit there and block, but sometimes they'll dash in like he just did there. That's why the special 1, I believe it triggers based off of the unstoppable and not through block, because if that were the case, he'd be a lot worse and a lot more AI dependent. So that's just one thing to mention with him. I'd say M.O.D.O.K is an A tier matchup and a C tier matchup when he cannot be stunned, because the way that his heavy attack works, you can't punish it, which means that you're going to take the auto block, and it's just really annoying in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, there's one more science matchup he takes, and that is, of course, Jessica Jones. Similar to M.O.D.O.K, Jessica Jones has a Petrify on special attack, so you gotta play your loop a little bit different and build up a little bit more power. Mainly with Punisher, I would say throw the special 2 right when he gets to 2 bars, and there is one big reason why, because you're basically wasting power if you do it like that. Because sure, you get to the special 1, but you're losing a lot more power as opposed to if you were to throw it at immediately 2 bars of power. So with this Jessica Jones fight here, she is a hero, so obviously you're going to want to do the normal like special 1, special 2 loop. But in here, you're going to see me also go a little bit above 2 bars of power at straight, and it's going to be the exact same thing as literally every other fight that you've seen so far, where you throw the special 2 through block, they cower in fear most of the time, and then he throws the special 1, and then the bleed tick gets increased, and then they die. It's a pretty fun loop, but you'll see it's very linear as well, because sure, fuck! A tier matchup, my lisp is getting the better of me. And those are all the science threats that he takes. It's, again, like I said, very linear, and there are a couple of other non-science matchups that he takes, but it's a lot more difficult as opposed to other characters like Black Panther Civil War, who just goes special 2, dead. Now, bear with me as I show a couple of these non-science matchups before I get into the bread and butter, which is the defender aspects of this character, starting off with the Jean Grey. Now, you might be wondering why I'm doing this. I don't really have an explanation for it. I just wanted to do it, but he can do this fight. It is a little bit challenging, but it's basically the exact same thing as a normal Jean Grey fight if you don't have a direct counter, where you just dex these specials, and it's just a little bit longer because 1, her force field just makes it a bit longer, and 2, you need the double loop and a special 1 in order to get the hero things. It's a lot of micromanaging, which is why I would say don't try this at home, especially not in battleground setting, because it is 90 seconds flat, in my opinion. It is just not worth it when every other character does stuff in like 40 to 50 seconds. So I would say this is just for funsies, and also because I need to pad out runtime. Haha, I got you. And so, yeah, this is the first special 2 here, and then you throw the special 1, and because I was able to perfectly time it with the shield depleting, it does a decent amount of damage, so if you may or may not be able to gauge it, it is going to be another special 2 here in order to kill, which is a little bit longer than before. I'm really just trying to talk longer because this clip is longer than the other ones, but it's a lot of micromanaging, is like I said. Like, you have to immediately after the special 2, special 1, throw a heavy attack in order to refresh those punctures. I mean, impact charges, you know what I meant. And now that I'm at that second special 2, I throw it through block, and she's going to deplete the shield. I throw the special 1 with the increased tick rate, and she is just dead. I take a hit there, but it's fine. Full yellow if I didn't play like an idiot. If I were to look at this legitimately, this is like a C or a D tier matchup. Nobody's looking at this like, yes, a subversive counter that is going to completely throw my opponent off. No, everyone's going to just look at you like, wow, this guy's an idiot. He could have done literally anything else, but he chose Punisher for some reason. Onto Yelena below. Now you can say I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of matchups now. I mean, you're right, but I need a little bit more than just one non-science defender, so please just bear with me because it is doable. Preferably in this fight, you want to get a special 1 and then the special 2 loop twice before she gets into her elimination mode, because if you're not like right next to your second bar of power and she's in elimination mode, it is very difficult in order to get back to that special 2 in order to just get that finishing blow, because you're not able to heavy attack to refresh the impact charges, so it gets a lot more difficult. But as you can see, pacing is not really the best in this fight. I'm already at 50 hits for her, and she needs 100 to trigger elimination mode, and I haven't even thrown a single special 2 yet. So I'm gonna throw this very soon after this random ass heavy attack that you're about to see. Oh no, I guess I already did it, and I'm just a little bit behind in my own talkative format. Sorry, I had to cut there because I really didn't want to lose that take, because this fight is so long that I can't talk for that long in that period of time, but you just don't want her to get into elimination, basically. It's going to happen in this fight, which is why I'm showing this one in particular, to show that when stuff goes wrong, it kind of screws up. I got lucky in this clip because I was right at a special 2, so I was able to throw it off while I still had the impacts up. If I didn't, this fight would have sucked in the latter half. But as you can see, I kind of missed a stand-up there, so she threw the special 1. So now she's in elimination early, and I have to wait for the puncture to end, or her impact. I don't know why I keep calling it puncture. But I'll throw this, not able to get a heavy attack to refresh. I throw the special 2 through block, and because I got the unstoppable up, I throw it, increase the tick rate of the bleed, and she is out of here. This is an F-tier matchup, all right? I've got one more fight before I talk about his defender mechanics, which is going to take up a bulk of the video. That's a lie. This video is already 15 minutes. Wow. So now we're truly in the end game, because I'm pretty sure everyone knows how this fight is going to go at this point. He's a villain. Red Skull is very easy to counter, so it's the exact same thing that you've been seeing, except for it's going to take a little bit longer. 1, because I can't get the crits through block on the special 2. Well, I can, but it's heavily mitigated. And 2, the bleed just doesn't kill him on the first special loop. So I'll talk about a little bit of the issues I have with him offensively. Let's say you throw the special 2 at like 2.9 bars of power. It's a net loss in power because you throw the special 2 and then you are immediately at a bar of power because of the power gain, but it stops at a bar of power. So, you know, you lost a lot of power in that sense because you're basically going from 2.9 bars of power to 0. And you could say it's basically like throwing 3 bars of power because you're throwing a special 1 as well. I would disagree, mainly because with characters that have special 2 loops, like, I don't know, let's just say Gambit because it's the one that comes into my mind, you can throw a special 2 at 2.9 bars of power, get similar damage, and still have enough power to get to the special 2 quicker. With Punisher, it's taking more time because you have the special 2 and the special 1, and you're immediately at 0 bars of power, where it's kind of like treating the special 2 and the special 1 as a singular entity in the form of the special 2. So it takes a little bit longer as comparatively to other stuff. And hey, look, I just threw the special 1 and it seems like he's about to die here, right? 1%. Oh man, Punisher, you suck. I'm gonna say that is a C-tier matchup only because it's slow. It's just very slow. But now I get to talk about what I wanted to. Now, I think it is very obvious to say this, but Punisher is very similar to Jessica Jones, the previous Banquet champion. They're both very annoying stall characters that have very annoying mechanics, but they can be countered very easily if you have a direct counter. Like, it's laughably stupid how much faster they get if you have the counters. But here is where the two of them differ. Jessica Jones does not really punish you as much, but she is a lot tankier, while Punisher is not as tanky, but punishes you a lot more for not knowing how his mechanics work. So let's talk about that. For the sake of this clip, I am going to play it like I have never once seen a Punisher in my life, not knowing anything about his mechanics or his special attacks, so here's what is going to happen. He is going to be a lot tankier, but because I'm fighting with a mutant who is a hero, and I know how Deadpool X-Force works, I am going to kill him incredibly fast, but lose a lot of HP, whereas if this were Jessica Jones, I have a strong suspicion, and I mean a very strong suspicion, that it would have been slower, but I would have finished it full HP. This is going to be a special 2 here through block. As you can see, it doesn't really do much. The biggest scare when it comes to Punisher's special 2... Oh, he could have at least told me it was going to be that fast. That was 30 seconds. Okay, back to what I was saying. Punisher's specials become a lot more deadly if he's indestructible or has an impact, and he's only going to really get the impact against villains. If you're using a hero, it's not going to happen. But essentially, his crits become guaranteed, and you get the bleeds on you, which means you're going to take a lot of damage. The special 2 can be dexed if you're Karate Mike trying to show off Horseman Colossus, but I'm not, so it's never going to happen. The special 1 is fully dexable though, so now I will show you a matchup in which I know how Punisher works. So the immediate thing that you will notice in this fight comparatively to the first one is 1, I know how to dex his specials. 2, I am going to be doing medium, light, medium because I don't want to use that third medium attack and I want to get rid of as many physical resistances as possible. They only happen with the light attacks, but essentially this guy, what you want to do is perfectly time a mutant hero's special attack to where it'll basically trigger during his indestructible period. It's kind of difficult to get, as you can see in a second. It's going to trigger now, and then I throw the special 2. This is ideal in this case scenario because it's long enough to where it'll drastically reduce the indestructible duration, but What I'm going to do here is just get to the special one, and it will kill, because he won't be able to trigger the indestructible at all. See? Easy. And so you might be saying, oh, this guy's like super easy. Okay, I'll just use a mutant character and then he dies. Well, you might want to look at what tag they are first, because if you decide to use a villain character like Onslaught, the fight becomes very different very quickly. So you can see right off the bat that Punisher immediately lets me know how much I screwed up by telling me that I'm a villain character, and you'll see why. The biggest change is that, you know how you get the delayed indestructible with mutants? That doesn't happen if the mutant is a villain, which means you have to go through every single indestructible phase, which takes up a lot of precious time. It goes from like a 40-second fight to a 60 to 70-second fight. No 6-7 pun intended, sorry. This is going to be a perfect fight, by the way. I'm not going to miss a single special dex. I also chose Onslaught here to show that while the bleeds are scary, if you have resistances and stuff, it's not that bad. Mostly. Onslaught works here because he has 150% bleed resistance, but I'll show it later in a later clip. Sinister cannot deal with the bleeds, kind of. The way Punisher works is he gets a bleed vulnerability if you get 8 bleeds. It's very similar to Nick Fury's internal bleed, but it causes you to take bleed damage with the guy, the Sinister. But as you can see in this fight, it's taking a lot longer, and I am playing absolutely perfectly. I'm hitting every indestructible, which he will trigger 3, and it is very annoying in my opinion. As you can see, this is the final indestructible here, and I'm going to throw the special one, and hopefully it should just barely drain out the indestructible timer, and it does. So as you can see, the indestructible is very much going to be a problem if you don't have a direct counter. That fight was almost twice the length as what it would have been had he not had that indestructible. And I know what a couple of you are probably thinking. Oh, I'll just bypass a couple of the indestructible procs with a really big hit. No, you can't do that either. The indestructible will trigger at that interval, and any damage that would have exceeded it will just not happen at all. In order to get fast times against this guy, you need a hero mutant that relies heavily on special damage. So here are a couple counters that I have here. I'll make sure to list the pros and cons of every character that I mention here. Nightcrawler. Pros, able to dex every special with ease. Cons, more likely to trigger the indestructible at its full duration. Cyclops. Pros, able to get him down with a burst super easily. Cons, Cyclops sucks. X-23. Pros, Marked is able to completely bypass indestructible. I forgot to mention that earlier, by the way, sorry. And the only con with her I can think of is that her loop kind of makes it so that the opponent throws a lot more special 2s just because she builds a lot more power for them. I don't know. I haven't really tested her that much, so I might be wrong and she might be like some godly counter. Deadpool X-Force, in my opinion, the best counter if you know how to play the game. Pros, he just kills so damn quickly, and cons, if you don't really know how to dex Punisher specials, he is a lot more unsafe comparatively. And then the final one I want to talk about is Peter Parker. Pros, the only non-mutant that can counter because of Marked. Cons, right towards the end, you have to change your playstyle a little bit. You can't do the heavies anymore because the endurance will just prevent that entirely. So just keep that in mind if you decide to use Peter here, but he is also a really good counter. And that should be absolutely everything you need to know about Punisher. I talked for really long, showed you everything that he can do, the best ways to counter him defensively, and also his abilities in case you just needed to know. He is a quite fun character. I'm really happy that he received the buff, and I'm happy that he's not some like overpowered menace. I'm happy that he's just like a pretty solid character who's going to throw a couple of the endgame players off, but not really be a nuisance to newer players. So it, in my opinion, is a really good buff, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. But I have been Ham, you have watched the video, and I am going to leave now while I still have my sanity. I'll see you all in the next video.